Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And are stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquel, and Matisse loved to eat hot dogs. Fun fact.
And I'm John Gilardi, and I got the wrong movie. I watched One Night in Paris. I don't know. No, it just sounds so skeevy and pervy.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there. We watched Midnight in Paris. Very similar to the very similar title to the very famous Paris Hilton sex tape, One Night in Paris. So that's the joke.
It's always better.
There was a joke there, and I didn't know how to deliver it. But.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we didn't workshop it at all. You went ahead and you were like, I'm just going to go with it. And we were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then,
Yep. But it is like something I do whenever, because, spoiler alert, I like this movie a lot, and I bring it up. And I always say Midnight in Paris. I'm like, wait. There's always a pause in my brain. It's like, okay, cool. I said the right one. I didn't say the porn.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like this, always this little crisis I have. Like, did I just reference a porn in public?
Is that what I'm doing? Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah. So watch Midnight in Paris. I've seen this many times. Your first viewing, I believe.
This is my first viewing of Midnight in Paris.
Of that one, of this one.
Yes.
To specify. Yeah,
Yes.
It's like a Francophile, like a U.S. perspective Francophile, but also like a nostalgia, history kind of thing of living in the past. And I think that's what the film does best. I think I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but yeah, essentially there's a writer. He's in Paris for an extended stay. They're essentially freeloading with his fiance's parents, who are doing this big business deal. So they're there for an extended time. So that gives them a kind of like temporary residence vibe, / touristy vibe there. And, there's a disconnect and they kind of, I don't know. It's hard to give a plot without telling the story, but you know, the main character, Gil Owen Wilson, he lives in regret. He lives in nostalgia. He lives in a fantasy world, and he's a writer. So it's like extra romanticized and like super logically emotional, if that makes sense. And he's having issues, and his fiance and her family are just different types of people, and it's driving him away. And he's traveling back in time and learning things, and it's that's the movie, I guess, with being pretty vague. But I'm down to open the can of worms too.
Yeah.
If you have anything to add.
There's definitely it's definitely like the movie starts with like this like 5-minute montage of places in Paris, and like when I first watched it, I was like, geez, all right, we get it, we're in Paris. But then I like figured out what it was doing, where it was like slowly sort of like building up, like be like, hey, this is the beginning of the day, we're gonna go all throughout the entire day in Paris. And then, so it's like, yeah. It's
I mean,
Paris, where it's just like, hey, this is where it is. We ain't moving.
Yeah. It definitely establishes it, but I think it is a love letter to it, to the city. But it does paint, I don't know, the beginning into the end of a Parisian day. You end with the rain too, or in the Eiffel Tower. So there's like that stuff ties into the story, but. It truly is just a love letter and masturbatory towards Paris, and I love it. Like personally, I occasionally just watch that 5-minute clip, and to me it's sublime. I guess I don't know. It's like a little.
Just the beginning. Have you been to Paris?
Yeah, I've been to Paris twice, and I lived an extended stay in southern France for a month. So like, there's people who visit, people who grow up and have Eiffel Tower posters on the wall, and they go once and they're like, oh, I love it. And so I'm a notch above that, where I actually got to live and breathe it for, I think, a long enough where my overreaching fantasy of what France is and living there has a little bit more ground. I still understand it's a little outrageous, but like, I don't know, I lived it for a month, and it was probably just enough to make it to live a fantasy in a sense, and
Yeah.
for that to perpetuate. So consuming stuff like this lets me relive that, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie is painted as that fantasy too. So it's like extra, I don't know, extra whimsical and allows me to relive that time. And it was a very interesting time in my life too, because I had gone to Paris only a few months after my dad had passed. So it was like extra kind of, I don't know, like a soul searching, emotional kind of place that was interesting and peaceful in a sense.
Huh.
And it allowed me to
Process maybe and like hang
process.
out a little bit.
Yeah. So like there's so many layers for me why I have a fantasy of Paris and France and all these different things. And then this movie helps that. So like, I mean, it's a good movie critically, but for me, like I think I like it so much more than even that, just because it's such a complicated, interesting journey for me. And there's time travel and there's like fun fish out of water stuff too, which I just think is fun. I don't know. That's a little bit. That's my background.
Yeah.
on me have seeing this movie quite a bit.
Yeah. It's funny
and
because
should frame it up on why I gush about it, I guess.
And here's my background. Well, I'll give you my background on this movie. Is that everybody's told me to watch this movie. You've told me to watch this movie. Other people have told me to watch this movie, and I don't like Woody Allen. Just like there's parts, again, it's complicated, and obviously there's like all that sort of like, you know, sexual abuse, alleged sexual abuse, and all that like weird stuff. But even outside of that, just like, you know, separate the art from the artist or whatever, like there's sort of sometimes I'm like, hell yeah, I'm about this. Like I read Brighton Beach Memoirs as one of his plays or something, and like some of this stuff really hits me, but then some of it is like, I'm like, I hate you. Like, it's just so funny to me, but because I don't know, and I wish that I didn't know that Woody Allen wrote and directed it. The same way that, because I saw The Last Duel, and I promise this will connect up, but I saw The Last Duel, and I was shall we say, in an altered state, and so I was just watching the movie for what it was. And I thought it was like a really cool like picture of like a time in medieval like era that we don't see, and sort of like kind of a glimpse into the sort of like the ecosystem and how everything worked. And I thought it was really cool. But then also like afterwards and talking about it with the people that I was watching it with, they were like, it's weird that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote that movie, given their history with Harvey Weinstein and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But also, like, it was still pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a weird take, I guess, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, I think separating the art from the artist is okay in the sense of appreciating what you see on screen, but also you're like, a director, writer is a huge percentage of the creative process, but like, there's still a minority of the manpower and talent, you know, that people lend into it, you know. So there's like a, you know, maybe that's a bargaining, like self-bargaining on why I can enjoy X, Y, Z. But I also do think it's a fair point, and I think it's a fair point to the creators.
I'm not here to litigate why or what, like I don't think we're gonna solve that one. Like there's still.
But I guess we had to bring it up with Woody Allen being a but
is
he the one that married his daughter or something?
Yeah,
he did. Else?
He married his daughter.
Okay,
he married his stepdaughter. It was
nice.
Anyway,
sarcastically nice.
Yes. It's just like a weird, complicated thing, and it's just like anyway. But and all that to say is like I just don't like this, and I feel bad because like there's lots of parts of it that I really like, but then
this movie.
Yeah, there's parts of it that I like, but then like I think as a whole, it just doesn't hit for me the way that everybody had built it up to be. And maybe I watched it too late, and I mean it just is what it is. But
for me, it's such a moment to moment good movie for me. Like I said, Sublime earlier. Like I don't know. Like everything about it, I like. I like the performances. I like the revelations. I like that the bad characters who are assholes have their moments of being right and blatantly honest, but they're still ignored because they're assholes.
Yeah.
The set pieces, the costumes, the moments of living in nostalgia through Gil. It's just awesome. And the more you watch it, the subtleties in Rachel McAdams' performance is so good. And she's fun. Like this recent viewing, I zeroed in on her when she was in scenes, and it was really fun to do that. And even like on the scenes where, God, I forget his name, the pedantic guy,
Michael Sheen.
Paul, like his wife. Like if you zero in on her, you can see the kind of like insecurities she has about him and Inez. So, like even just from a performance side, that's really good. And it's interesting because I watched this when I was young and dumb. So it's like the red flags weren't as obvious to me on Inez, but it's so funny how fast they come up with her as an adult.
Yeah, I guess
more
I
of an
picked
adult
up.
and repeated viewings.
I picked up on that immediately, like not immediately, but I was like, I don't like this character. I was like, I don't like this person, and which is good. I mean, again, and then like the way she's like, again, there's a lot of little subtleties in the way that Owen Wilson is always sort of like touching her, and like is never, even as he's distant and going on these like walks and stuff, like it is just incredibly clear that they're just like not right for each other. They don't want to be with each other. And I just fucking hate Paul. I hate the scenes. There's the scenes that I dislike the most in this movie was a scene when they're in the Monet Museum and she's like, "Hey, shut up. You could learn something." And I'm like, "Fuck you. Get out of here. Let me enjoy the art that I'm going to enjoy the art. Don't fucking, who are you? My fiance, if I'm Owen Wilson, get out of here.
Well, it's like
that's one of my least favorite. I was like, oh, get out of here.
Like he Owen Wilson Gil calls Paul a pseudo intellectual, but it's like Rachel McAdams' character is like a pseudo intellectual consumer of art. Like she's just I think that's just because she loves him and she's pretending to be like cultured, or not pretending to be cultured, but pretending to like really pick up what he's putting down, I guess. So it's, I don't know, because like she's like a super vapid, shallow character, but then like her appreciation of like historic art is there. So but it's like,
and that's
what's her background? That's like where I'm trying to believe that character, because she's like,
well, and that's one of the things
he is successful though. Like she always comes back to that. He is successful, and her mom's like, I've seen his bank account, and like they're hanging on to like he's this ideal mate for that reason.
Oh, Owen Wilson?
That he is for her.
Oh,
like, that she's hanging on that he's successful and that he can be successful. She's always pushing him to like go back to just making movies. If this thing doesn't pan out, do what you do best, make money. And he's like, I don't know, and
yeah,
so, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is I'm trying to pen her down as a real person.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think she's I don't think it's unbelievable. But I'm trying to like.
It's not, but it goes back and forth because she's like, oh, that. I think that's one of the reasons where I'm like, this feels confusing to me, for me personally, where it's like Inez is like, oh, Paul, fucking great job, you're a real smart person, and I love it. And then Owen Wilson is like, I feel like I'm a smart person, but I just keep making these stupid movies. And then she's like, well, just do that then if that's what you're good at, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, she's like, he's not allowed to reach his potential intellectually.
Yeah,
because she wants him to regurgitate movies that don't fulfill him. Meanwhile, she's like attracted to this guy who is at the peak of his intelligence or something. I don't know. So it's like a weird thing that she's suppressing this guy, but then attracted to this guy because he has what she's suppressing in Owen Wilson. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is.
It's. I think it's there in some light strokes.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't.
That doesn't answer our question though. And who is this person in real life? I've never met anyone like that.
Yeah, and I think.
But maybe that's like a true like bourgeoisie, Californian thing. Like because I don't know. I'm not going to generalize all that place, but particularly Hollywood. There's definitely some very like everyone's attractive, so you're gonna have like every archetype that's a very attractive, vapid person to an extent.
Yeah.
So like, maybe you don't see this over here, but that
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a part is like she's like a California cliche, Hollywood Showtime cliche. Wants to live in Malibu, movie star, movie industry husband.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's the easy choice, but it's also. And again, I haven't seen Annie Hall, but I don't know. Whatever. I feel like that's what I've seen a lot of times. This is reductive of Woody Allen's female characters, where it feels like they're sort of what they need to be to put the pressure on the male character to make the choice that will make them better.
I was looking. I've only seen this one movie, so I don't have that background, but I could see that.
I don't know. People say Annie Hall is really good, but some of the Woody Allen, like in most of the Woody Allen that I've read and that I've consumed, that seems to be the case. And I guess it's just an archetype that I'm like, okay, Woody Allen, I get it.
Yeah.
But
you want to hear something crazy weird?
Yeah, I do. Always do.
So the weekend that we went to Paris when I was studying abroad, we got in really late on the train. No, This was before iPhones and smartphones. You could, this is like 2012. So it's, but like before then, that was before you could just bring your iPhone or whatever
what's crazy?
internationally to work.
That's 10 years ago, bud. That's fucking a decade ago.
Yeah. So I guess that does give it more
wild.
context. But even then, so like we just had to like memorize a map or like, I don't know. So we were wandering. We're asking people. Like there was a French couple, just like in this movie, that he's like, "Do you know where I am?" And so that happened to us many times. But particularly, I have a very vivid image of that, like a couple, and they just said no and kept walking. And then we go up a hill, and there's a staircase that looks very much like the one that he sits on.
Yeah.
And the hill, and like I'll never forget it. And it's like there's a pretty good chance that that's the same one. So it's like it adds on to this weird kind of
stacking,
very personal stacking of experiences. So I don't know. That's just something. That's just a funny thing. I don't think it was the same because I think it was more of an open courtyard where the stairs were, but there was definitely a hill very much like that, and definitely that staircase. I think it's a movie, so maybe the 180, like one half of that shot is somewhere else and the other half is somewhere else, so it's hard to tell.
Oh yeah, you could always do that.
But
I kind of feel like that this was, except for maybe some of the interior stuff, like I feel like they shot this in Paris. Like,
100%.
I don't think that there was any sort of way that they could have done that otherwise. Like there's even sometimes where he's just like walking on the street where it feels like the sort of the resolution is like a little bit less. Like maybe they had to like not necessarily run and gun it because you've got big Hollywood stars and whatever, but like to a certain extent, you're like, hey, we're going to steal this shot of you at this cafe or you walking down the place.
No, this is definitely on location.
Except for maybe the interior stuff. Just because,
if you can control it, might as well.
Yeah. Let me talk. I'll say my other least favorite scene, but it's also like, it's tough because it's my least favorite, but it's just this one part. And I love Corey Stoll, the guy who plays Hemingway. I fucking love Corey Stoll. But the scene at the sort of circus festival,
where he's very drunk,
and he's just like, I don't know, it just feels like he's like spouting, is like, hey, I'm a Hemingway catchphrase machine, and it's like, I don't know, I haven't done that much like research on Hemingway though, but so I don't know if maybe that's how he was.
Yeah.
But like I was like, this feels disingenuous. And like it feels like a lot of the other characters were allowed to be genuine. Whereas like that moment and some of the other moments with like Ernest Hemingway were just like, hey, here's Ernest Hemingway catchphrase. Here he is.
Yeah. Well, it could very well be like sometimes in a movie or on a set you can get carried away with something it's like everyone on the set feels like this is a really good idea. This is fun. We're having fun with this character. Let's just fucking do it. This is fun.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe it could be one of those things.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Hemingway's drunk. He wants to fight. That's such a funny joke.
I do like that line, like, who wants to fight at the very end, throwing that out.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know. It was the other stuff. I don't know how to properly put it into the words, because I also do love. I like the vibe between Owen Wilson and Maureen Cotillard.
Yeah.
Did I butcher that last name? Cotillard? Yeah.
I won't say it because I'm not gonna. I'm pure. I haven't said it wrong yet. The French woman, the woman that's always French in American movies.
I wonder if she can do an American accent.
I don't know. I think she just.
She
probably doesn't even speak French. She probably just like actively. Well, she speaks French, but she like probably just talks in that American or that French English accent.
Yeah.
That's how she lives, because that's her.
Huh. That's how
Would
she
you
lives.
Would you think of just the bangers and haymakers of him meeting all these crazy artists? You think it felt suffocating and like too coincidental, or do you think it was, I don't know, like the whole time travel thing is such a, I guess, a topic in itself. Like,
Yeah.
it is, because there's places where it's like it's in his head, it's like a fantasy, it's surreal. Let's just take it and run with it, believe it. But then there's the part later on in the book where he finds the journal, and he's brought up in it, and it's like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? Did he find some weird wormhole in Paris? And it's not explained. It doesn't need to be.
Well, but the detective follows. So he goes back
and
to like
he keeps going down the rabbit hole.
Like 17th century or 14th century France.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay.
I think it's cool. I think what makes it funny is what's her name, the French character, French actor,
Maureen Cotillard.
yeah, but the character, whatever. She says like what she loves about him is he's unassuming. I think that kind of explains like any character Owen Wilson plays, but in this one it's just so funny because of the positions he's continually put in. Like he's like, he doesn't want to go back in time, but he just does, and he's like, what? He's like the first night he goes back, he's just like eyes are glazed over, and he's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I think that is, talking about my least favorite scenes, I think that is one of my favorites. Whenever he's realizing, and I'm watching it right now on the screen in the back, where he's like, I guess I'm here. I guess I'm
Where he
here.
looks at Zelda.
Yeah, he looks at Zelda, and he's like, I guess I'm here. And I
think
guess
we're pretty
this
in
is
sync.
Zelda Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And he's just like, all right. And then he's like, okay, this is it. Yeah, all right. I'm fucking here. Let's go, dude. And I do love that.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to see Tom Hiddleston. It's just fun the way the movie's set up. You get to kind of see these fun characters and different cameos and these little character studies on these famous people, or interpretations or caricatures rather. Yeah. And you get to see, kind of neutral artists interact with these colorful artists and however they impact him. I like the first Hemingway scene.
I like the first Hemingway.
He's so weird, and then he's also super profound, where he's like, I'm not going to read it. You don't want someone else creative to assess your stuff. Either I'll hate it or I'll be jealous of it. You want an editor or someone to read that. And then he's probably the first one that puts a seed of doubt in his mind about his fiance, when he was like, do you truly feel like nothing in the world matters when you make love, and that you feel immortal or whatever? And he's like, no, I don't feel that, but she's really hot. Yeah. And she's like a firecracker, fireball in the sack. Fireball. But and then fast forward when he kisses Coda, what the fuck is her name?
The actor or the character?
The character, because I don't want to say her name.
Maureen Cotillard.
I'll
pull it up.
Yeah, her. When he kisses her, he's like, wow, like, wow.
I felt immortal. Didn't he say that?
Yeah. Yeah, he said that. So it's like, oh, that's fun. That comes around. But yeah, I think Hemingway's entrance is really cool, and it obviously projects him into the timeline of coming back and forth and working with Gertrude Stein and going to the publisher, and his network of creatives that he meets from that makes that a little bit more believable. Not that it needs to be. It's a weird time travel movie, but I don't know. I like
Adriana.
I think Adriana, yes. I like that name.
It's a good name.
Yeah, my cousin is named that.
I don't have anyone close to me that's named that. So,
well, I guess I win.
Yep.
But yeah, Hemingway is he's actually, it's kind of like the part where the movie really, takes off. Like it maybe subconsciously sows the seed of doubt of his relationship, but also invests him and commits him into this world and ingrains him in where he can fall in love with it.
Yeah, it's the first time that he's like, because like up until then with the Fitzgeralds, Gil is like, hey, what? And the first time that he's like, oh no, this is Ernest Hemingway. I'm hanging out. I'm talking to Ernest Hemingway, and he's right here in front of me. And that's the first time that he allows himself to like, not necessarily be honest, but like be there and like be present and like have a conversation.
It's not as like not a novelty, I guess.
Yeah, he's not like
he doesn't dive into with, as far as we see Fitzgerald, like I'm sure he's a great writer. Why don't you, but like why don't you pick his brain? But he doesn't. It's more of the fantasy at that point. But when he's with Hemingway, he's like, yeah, you know what? Let's get cracking. Well, I think he's also like this is a weird dream. I don't know where the fuck I am. I don't like people reading my stuff, but you know what? I'm in such a weird vacuum of time and space.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, put my guard down.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see what's up. I'm gonna talk to this either figment of Hemingway that's in my own brain, or it's actually Hemingway, and I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like the first scene with Hemingway, and I don't know. I don't know why, and I don't know if it is the Woody Allen-ness of it, or maybe it's just like it feels too nice to me. But there are
like
parts
the whole
like,
thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a sour, bitter old man.
Yeah,
won't allow people to enjoy
that
things.
it's such a for me it's just such a surreal, whimsical fantasy. Like to me, it's like it's a fantasy movie, and then I feel good when I watch it. I have no distractions. There's great movies I watch where I can tune out for a scene because I don't want to see it, or I could care less, or it's boring to me. But this, I don't tune out. And
okay, hell yeah.
I don't know if it's the witty, smart dialogue.
I think it moves so fast too.
Yeah, it has great pacing. Like the breakup scene. I
love the breakup scene. 2
or 3 minutes. It's all it needs to be, and like everything is just what it needs to be in terms of that length, and pacing is great. It is a hour and 40-ish minutes movie, so it's not too long.
It's an hour and 35.
Okay, so yeah, not bad.
So it's probably closer to like an hour 20 with like credits and that 5-minute opening montage. Yeah,
and it's just a normal movie. Obviously, no action. So like the climax, I feel like in these kind of movies, they hit and the fall off is so efficient.
Yeah.
Where an action movie you have to decompress and the characters have to decompress and all that stuff. So it kind of like builds and it doesn't drag. And then it hits that point, and then it resolves over, and it's like, cool, I got a good story. I'm moving on. But I don't know. What do you think about the history and the golden age fallacy complex or whatever? Because like I think that is something a lot of people do, and I think honestly, it might be happening less and less today. Because I think it's a lot of people are becoming a lot more aware of like. We have it the best it's ever going to be. We have medicine. We have these comforts, like, so I think that's going away. But there was a time where I fantasized about living in a different time and all these different things. The most I would fantasize is to be born 10 years earlier so I could live more through the 90s where there was more optimism and all that stuff. But that's about it.
I mean, but I mean, and that's the same. It's just the same because Adriana is like, oh, this is the best time. These are the true artists or whatever. And that's like, that is a good moment of realization,
Yeah, and where he says because the present is unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
Because you're living in it. And it's easier.
It's so good. And it's.
But that's also why nostalgia works too, where it's just like, you look back, and you remember either the things that were great or the things that were awful. But it's like the moments of the day that are the in between, like you kind of lose those, and like sometimes you lose those, and it's like, yeah, maybe we could go to, I don't know, because there's so many people who are like, oh, I wish I was born in the 60s. Oh, man, the 60s, great, great, great. And it's like, listen, the draft was still happening. There was incredible unrest.
Assassinations.
Assassinations that, if you were born in the 60s and grow up in the 70s, that's when all the best serial killers were around because, and by best, I mean worst. Obviously, I mean worst. Because, of lead paint in the walls, and there's all sorts of little brain damage and, fetal alcohol syndrome because people didn't know anything. And so, anyway, it's just like the world is always ending, and the best place that there is to be is the place that you are, I think. And it's like...
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things where I agree with this movie, and maybe that's why I, roll my eyes centrally at the Owen Wilson character, is like even all of these, like F. Scott Fitzgerald drank himself to death. Zelda Fitzgerald also drank herself to death. And Ernest Hemingway, I'm pretty sure he killed himself after he essentially drank himself to death. And it's just like, this is a good time because they're all together and hanging out. And like, this is when they're at their peak, but life doesn't ever stop.
Yeah.
So, but it's also really interesting. It's just really interesting to see the in-between moments, even however imagined or sort of like cartoonish that they like sort of tend to, but like the idea of like Ernest Hemingway hanging out at the bar and like yelling about things and like thinking about his novel or whatever, or just any of those, like the or whoever the guy drawing was at when they
Letruc or Letruc,
yeah,
whatever, in the 19
yeah
or
in the
1890s.
It's like,
Yeah.
I know who Gauguin is, but I didn't know who those other two dudes were.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's cool. Like, I don't know, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a fun thing to meet your idols and talk with them with the knowledge of their lives, talk with them the knowledge that you have, just generally from being from the future. Like I like how Gil approaches these things and the way he communicates with them as a future man. He is living in the present, which is an interesting thing because that's like what he's not doing in the present, and and the idealization of that. I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff at play there with exploring that.
I do like how little things are explained. Like, the time travel, we get it. He gets in his cab and he goes back in time. Perfect. Got it. And that's like thing too, is like Adriana was like, yeah, sure. We're going back in time. We're in the 1890s. Let's not go back. I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that the bookshop girl or I thought that she was going to be Adriana and Owen Wilson's kid.
Oh, interesting.
Because she had blue eyes and she sort of looks like...
now you're thinking too much about it.
I thought that... Well, I was watching. I was trying to figure out why she was...
So that means they would have to have had that kid...
or not
80s.
their kid, but like...
Oh, grandkid?
Yeah. Probably great-grandkid, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think there's a... I don't know if this is more from my experiences, but also seeing some other people. Like there's this more or less the first person you kind of latch on to, get along with. They're a good match. You're together for a while, but then I think the older you get, the more you realize that similarities and having things in common matters. So it's like I think that's part of what that relationship is with the girl at the end. Is they're building their relationship. Potentially, obviously there's deal breakers and big things, decisions, but like, it's starting off of interests, instead of circumstance, or being around each other and attraction instead. So it's like I don't know. That's just something that this viewing happened because I know a few people went through it more or less myself, where like a relationship started with having things in common, instead of just that physical. I mean, obviously there's physical attraction, but there was like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I just know too many people, that myself included, that ended up with people that they actually didn't have a lot of in common, and I don't know why that happens. I think that has to do with being young.
Well,
and
yeah,
around each other,
because
and the pressures of starting a life, I guess.
Yeah, and what I'll say too is like part of it is like there's like I don't know, you don't know what you want.
Yeah,
and then it's like you start to figure out what you want, and it's not that it's different than the other person, but you're just like tugging in different directions, where you're just like, oh shit, yeah, I don't like this little thing that it, like, I don't like this little thing that like domino effects to big thing,
to big thing. Yeah,
whatever big thing is, and this is a general big thing, but it's like, this, like, because really, if you look at it super sort of like, I don't know, callously and logistically, it's like you're dating. It's kind of like a job interview for like, hey, what company, what person do I want to keep my company with for the rest of my life? Who do I want to hang out with for forever?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like a lot of times you kind of go with the first person who says yes, and then and like for both sides, you're like, yeah, I don't know, but it's just like, oh yeah, well this works, and then we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make this partnership work because we've said
and then
yes.
You do love them, and they're probably a good person, so it's like, all right,
John, we're breaking up. This is it.
This is good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say is this movie kind of has that in there too,
but I really like
I
like the breakup scene where he's just like, this isn't it, and
it's a good breakup scene for sure. And then the true colors come out thing, and they're just being mean to him.
Yeah,
it's just like,
well, and I also really like that she's like, it's someone else, it's Paul. You're gonna have to get over it. And he's like, I like, honestly, like, yeah, it sucks, but I don't like. I think it's bigger than that. I don't really care. Like I hear you, and like I am upset, but also I'm not. I don't really like. It's like, if it works
that's my
out,
red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. He even's like, it's a Parisian fling. Like I kind of get it.
Yeah.
No, I'm still pissed. Like whatever. Like maybe I would get over it. But the fact that you're telling me to get over it, fuck you.
Yeah.
He's not saying that, but maybe that's what's going on in his head. But it's just like classic, like boomer, middle class, fancy white people shit too. When when he walks out the door and they're like, "I told you there isn't something right about him." You know what? Like just like the way things they said, and he's like, I don't know. I can't. Too many things are coming to my head to quote it, but they're just that family is just like the cliche of just like the annoying middle class fancy Karens and boomer shit.
Yeah,
and it's fun. It is actually fun. It's not it doesn't detract from it and actually being hard to watch, I guess, or annoying. Like they're good, believable caricatures, I think, of those things. And so it makes it fun. It makes it cathartic that he's leaving them, It makes it cathartic that he is himself in spite of them being assholes. So there's some fun. There's fun there, and I think that's why, is that he's still true to himself despite the pressures they're putting on being unremarkable snobs. I don't know.
Yeah. I also really liked the whenever there's the moment where the dad is able to get in another little jab at the like Tea Party Republican stuff. Even him being one, he's like, did you hear him call them crypto fascists? Blah 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 blah. And he went on like a whole little run. He's like, did you hear him say that? Can you believe that? They're just trying to do right, and it's just, and I was just like, yeah, all right, that's pretty good. All right,
just good, honest Americans trying to make this country better, or something like that.
He's like, they're not, yeah, and it was like, okay,
I just,
Okay.
I don't know. Like Owen Wilson is a character in this, but he's still very much Owen Wilson in this movie. But
Owen Wilson is so good at playing Owen Wilson and then playing the different
variations of him.
variations in a believable
But I think this is one of
manner.
my favorite variations. It's unassuming existential crisis one.
I
It's like
really,
a fun combat.
I really like the Loki Owen Wilson.
The what, Loki?
Yeah. From Loki, the TV show.
Oh shit! I forgot he was in that.
Ah.
Yeah,
With
I
his
didn't forget he was in
jet
that. I just for some reason you said Loki. I thought movies. I thought Marvel cinematic movie theater experiences. Yeah, I like. I like Owen Wilson for as unvaried as he is. I almost want to see that him and that J-Lo rom-com.
I've seen multiple. Like I love watching Owen Wilson. What's that? How do you know? There's an awful. It's not good, but it's Paul Rudd, Owen Wilson, Reese Witherspoon, and maybe like Michael Keaton. There's somebody who's like plays like where like essentially Russell. Oh my God, hold on. I almost said Russell Wilson. Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson plays like a Derek Jeter type, and
Random.
And then
What's it called?
It's called How Do You Know? I saw it in theaters with the girl I lost my virginity to. TMI, but I don't give a shit.
This is Patrick 2022, just wilding out, not giving a shit.
Yeah, it's different from how I was before. Yeah.
How did this movie cost $120 million? Someone asked.
Jack Nicholson. I knew it was somebody like way too big.
So
Yeah.
what about it?
No, it's just good, or it's not good, but it's like fun because it's Paul Rudd, Owen Wilson, Reese Witherspoon, Jack Nicholson, just fucking doing like middle of the road romantic garbage.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like there's a shortage of rom-coms. That's also why I'm drawn to it.
Oh,
It's like,
for sure, dude.
it's like, no, it's something different. You know,
There's a
Like,
shortage
I'm
of
loving-
rom-coms. There's a shortage of movies that are comedies just. I don't even know
Yeah.
what that looks like anymore. Like, because I was thinking about it because I was listening to a different podcast that was like, oh yeah, the Suicide Squad is a comedy. And I'm like, it's still just like a lot of the comedies are action movies as well. And, but I'm like thinking about it. It's like Pineapple Express, also an action movie. Superbad, also sort of an action movie. Like really, if you break it down, it's like that's where they go. Unless they're like sort of rom-coms. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of new movies in the theater, got Spider-Man, action, Scream, horror, Licorice Pizza. That sticks out.
That's an art housey thing. Sort of like
Sing 2, The King's Man.
action, animated.
Yeah, and then Jackass Forever, which is again an anomaly once every 7 years. But I don't know. There's no comedy. There's no rom-com. There's no romantic. There's no dramas.
Well, not in theaters, but they all go right to like this becomes Emily in Paris or whatever the fuck, you know? Like the rom-com or whatever it becomes, you blow up this concept. And it's like if we were to do this again, if we were to do Midnight in Paris again, it does. It becomes a sort of, you know, it's a 6-part miniseries, 30 minutes each, and each episode he gets to hang out with a new person and learn a little bit more about the past and how it reflects to his future.
Uh-huh.
Look at that. I just wrote a hit series. Go ahead, someone steal it and give me $10,000 because I don't want to write it because that sounds boring to me.
I would love to option movie ideas. I could do it all day.
Like you
And then
buy
someone
them?
does
Like
the
what
work.
you just
No,
like
I sell my someone buys my options or whatever.
yeah, I would love that. That's the dream. That was the dream, John.
Like Cartman in South Park. It's like Adam Sandler meets a dolphin and they fall in love. You've seen that episode of South Park?
I think so. It's
like Cartman becomes like a movie idea generator for studios, and everything is Adam Sandler does something. Just stupid. But it makes the joke is so good too because people fucking watch that shit for some reason, no matter what, with him in it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
yeah,
He sells it.
What you give this?
I
flick?
gave it 2.5 stars.
All right.
I gave it 2.5.
I saw that on Letterboxd and I got sad.
I know. Sorry, bud.
But as much as we talked about it, I wouldn't have guessed that was your score.
Listen,
You haven't said anything blatantly against it besides hating a few scenes and that one Paul character. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the conceit isn't for me. I think that it's like really when it comes down to it, it's just not my jazz, and I can't necessarily put my finger on it. It's like the characters feel sort of disingenuous, and like I don't need the time travel to be explained. I don't know. It just doesn't hit quite right for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I have set in weird circumstances that make it hit right for me. It's like a right time, right place movie. I give it 4.5 croissants. I think I could watch this movie probably every few years and just be taken away and remember that fun time in Paris and Marseille and all these different fun things. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's good. I think he really fucks up when he doesn't go to dinner with her parents. And there's the dog behind him. He should go to dinner with her parents. Like that's when he. But again, because there's. Sorry, I'm going back because it's on the screen right now in front of me. I'm just like, but I guess that's the other thing where it's like, does he want to save this relationship? Because I guess as the viewer, you're like, oh, these people are together. They should stay together. And so I always sort of like go towards that. Whereas, no, maybe this relationship doesn't need to be saved.
Yeah. Just that scene too. I love his fixation on it. Just being like such a highbrow, high-strung asshole. And he's like, oh, fucking dog. There's a fucking dog in here.
I don't think he ever says anything about it. He just keeps looking
No, he
at
doesn't. It's good. I like it. But yeah, so that's what I gave it. What have you been watching?
I've been watching. I don't know. What have I been watching? Let me look at.
I'll let you know what I've watched. I guess.
Let me know what you watched, bud.
I watched Belle. It's a new anime movie. It's I think one of the highest grossing from that studio, but it's essentially like Beauty and the Beast in the metaverse. So it's it's a pretty cool movie timing wise in terms of like the metaverse like becoming a thing soon, or people projecting it's becoming a thing. I don't know, Microsoft buying all these game studios is a big play in the metaverse. Facebook's going big on the metaverse. Roblox is a thing. Like there's all this shit. So it's just cool that this movie is like here. You obviously had Ready Player One. And
we're getting closer and closer to that as a real world.
Yeah, which is, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how everyday life as we know it changed because of something like that existing. But it's a pretty good movie. I liked it. It's fun.
Do you think offices will exist in 10 years?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Answer it now. Make a bet. No, you're not allowed to not have a middle ground stance. You're not allowed not to know.
See, the thing is, like, I think offices can exist as an option to go to. Still, like, I think working remote is just as efficient, but I think having hubs where people can come and collab or knock out quick meetings or I don't know, like, there's definitely something unique to being in person. You can't replace that. Like Zoom call screens, like, you know, when everyone was trying to keep their morale high during the pandemic and the height of quarantine, like, hey, we're still doing it. It's just as good. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
We're social animals. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, stop fooling yourself.
Yeah.
Even like the antisocial or people who don't want to go out or introverts. Like, I'm an introvert. I still need some human contact. I need to get out. I don't know. I think maybe I don't know. That's a whole thing of psychology. I don't know. I'm not trying to to shame anyone who just doesn't want to go out and be social, but
they still get their socialization from other ways. I think. I don't know. I think that it's necessary.
But I think for the general population, I think human contact is important, and you don't get that. So I think my roundabout answer is I think efficiency and stuff would still work, but then you don't have where then you could go meet in person and do stuff. But then you also lose the flexibility then of working remote where you can live anywhere. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the metaverse will fix, but not really.
Well, that's what brought me to ask that.
Yeah. Well, then I also watched Stardust,
Yeah,
which I think we'll talk about in maybe next episode if you're down.
I'm down. I watched that
All right.
recently. I don't remember what I said the last time because I haven't been watching many movies since I went on my run at the beginning of this year where I watched all the movies.
Yeah. I've been trying to pick it up because I've been bad.
See, look, we're just trading off. Because I watched.
I guess so.
I can't remember. It's I watched Nightmare Alley and Interview with the Vampire.
Red Notice.
I watched that, but that was last year, so I didn't log that one. So I don't.
I know. You brought it up a few times for some reason after. We recorded so many episodes back to back.
Yeah.
But I'm making a joke now.
Okay.
You always bring it up.
Okay.
That's the joke I'm making.
Okay. I understand now. I'm sorry. But yeah, I've watched parts of movies where I've watched part of Phantom Thread again because I had to get my PTA fix. I watched part of this space thing on Disney Plus, but I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Nice. I watched some sports.
Boba Fett.
Oh, I've been watching Boba Fett.
I'm caught up.
I haven't seen
that.
the newest episode. Right, there was one
we'll
came out
talk about
yesterday. We probably will.
I will say I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's really interesting how divisive the show is. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
We could talk about it. We could talk about it. Let's not give away all of our secrets now.
Yes, our industry trade secrets.
Yeah, our little mental brain ideas.
Yes, mental brain ideas. But yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's we've come to that time.
We've come to that time. We're gonna watch Zelda not jump. We're gonna give her a Valium.
Yeah. It's medicine of the future.
How did you get it? I'm from the future. All right. Well, I don't give a shit. Just give me the drugs.
It's probably she probably developed a Valium addiction. That probably aided into her self-drinking.
That's probably why she got to the she had troubles.
Yeah.
She had troubles.
Cool name.
It is a cool name. She should be like a princess or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I know this isn't a wide appeal movie, so if you did make it through to this far, then you're a real one, a real fan of the SPB collective.
Yeah, we love you. And you know what? If you love this movie and you hate me for not liking it too much and being really, honestly, kind of unable to explain why, and even to myself, a satisfactory manner, I understand.
That was the same with Matrix. You had a hard time with that one.
I did. Well, I think with the Matrix is because it's there's so much of the conversation. Well, then this movie isn't for you because it's so beloved and stuff by the trans community, and I was like, well, I still just don't think that that's very good. I don't know. I think that Neo was so cool in the other three movies, even if the last two were bad. Him just doing the force push thing was just come on.
Yeah, that de-aged on me. I thought it was cool, but then I thought about it.
That's all he did. He didn't do anything. Yeah. He just was I'm just going to force push. And I'll do a strong force push or a less strong force push. And it's evolve the power. Fuck.
Yeah, it's I still like it. My overall view hasn't changed a lot, but yeah, I agree.
Well,
a little lame. But yes, we always have the longest goodbyes.
Hey,
because we never want to say goodbye.
We never want to say goodbye.
Exactly.
And and as they say in Paris, bon voyage, mon ami.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.